Greetings, brethren, Hausburger Donkey here, and I have to reshoot this video because I doxed myself. I had lots of my address on all of these boxes, which also means the previous video I filmed and all that stuff is already off the table, and I'm not going to put it back on, so that video is gone, but that was basically a bunch of Frostgrave stuff and my Oathmark collection, which all in all is actually kind of a small collection. And then there was also my trade box, which has all sorts of stuff that I really just have so I can make trades. Alright, let's get to meat and potato of this one. We start off with my Italian Wars project, which is a big one. We have a box of Landsknecht Pikemen, we have a box of Perry Light Cavalry, and another box of Perry Light Cavalry. We have a box of Perry's Mercenaries, European Infantry, and then we have a Conor McDavid box of more Perry's Light Cavalry, and these ones have already been assembled as jinetes or janitors, which is a Spanish light cavalry, and the only thing they still need is the hallmark adargo shields, which make them wonderful jinetes. And I assembled these when I was in bed with my broken back last year, because all I could do was assemble, so I assembled a whole bunch of stuff for various projects that are down the road, like this one. And then we have this massive box full of miniatures. We have some Landsknechts with Landsknechte. I keep saying the silly English version with two-handed swords. We have a bunch of these horse sprues, which are Perry's Light Cavalry and Perry's Men-at-Arms horses. Both boxes use these horses, but Perry also sells these separate. And I bought a bunch because in here somewhere are Redoubt Enterprises Cavalry, which do not come with horses. Or, well, I bought them without horses because I prefer having them on plastic horses. Less weight and less money, obviously. So yeah, these are for various light cavalry and all sorts of stuff that I bought from them. What else? We have some already assembled Perry's mercenaries with crossbows. These will be Italian crossbowmen probably. I will have to reprime these white because the whole army will be painted with my speed painting technique. Then the most expensive thing in this box probably is basically one of each of the Renaissance Knights from Foundry. So a whole bunch of these, each of them 12 pounds. Yeah, which makes that quite expensive. There's more in here. So I have basically one of each of them. Make sure that this is open and spill. And we have some Assault Group Italian Light Bowmen. There's 2 or 3 of those blisters. More cavalry, and then we have some, because that's, because I'm really OCD about my project organization. This is a Landsknecht Square, so it has all the miniatures the way I will build my Landsknecht Squares will need. So it's all the pikemen. There's you can probably see it somewhere. There's going to be Doppelsöldner with two-handed swords right there. And there, and they'll be in the front rank, and then there's also going to be a commander right there. Yeah, I can see him, there he is, command figure, and there will also be a drummer and some flag ensigns and all sorts, everything you need for a Landsknecht Square. And I have 2 of these bags, so we'll have 2 full metal Landsknecht Squares, and then there's also the plastic ones that I showed you earlier, which will also probably make one more. How many is in one box? 30? No, that's not enough for a whole square. We'll have to figure out how to make that work. And then there's 2 bags of Spanish Colunela. These are going to be a mix of, there's pikemen, you can see right there. There's also some of these Perry mercenary plastic ones. There's going to be sword and buckler men and arquebusiers. I think the arquebusiers aren't in here yet because they're probably in the light mercenary Perry box. But there's 2 of these colonellas, so that's the core of my Spanish army. 2 colonellas, 2 Landsknecht squares, 3 or 4 units of jinetes that I showed you in that other box, bunch of cannons, some mounted arquebusiers over here. Then there's some men-at-arms somewhere. And these will most likely be either French knights or they might become Italian knights. I'm not sure. But there's also a whole bunch of Italian stuff in here. You saw the archers, and there's like most of the Perry mercenaries will be Italians, and then there's also heads in here to make more Italians. I think there's also heads to make Swiss, but Swiss is probably the thing that I'm lightest on. But since I have basically a full Spanish army and then more Landsknechts to make also a full, Landsknecht Habsburg army, I think I'm good for now, and I'll come back to this at some point and buy more when I've actually painted some of it. So then next comes another historical project. And this one is a bit of a silly one because I didn't really need this. I kind of bought this because I was sort of mindful that Brexit will probably screw with my ability to order stuff from England. So this is basically the historical project for when this one is done. So I'm definitely not touching that this year. And what this is early Arab conquest into Italy, into Spain, fighting the Visigoths. So we have some Afghan warriors here from Wargames Atlantic. I'm mostly going to use them for the sword arms, bits and stuff to just make my Arabs more interesting. Maybe use some of them for slingers and skirmishers, but most of them are a bit too modern, so they don't quite work. But I'm sure if I mix them in, they'll be mostly okay. Then we have 4 Gripping Beast boxes of Arab spearmen and archers, which makes it 160 light Arab cavalry. There's 1 Arab heavy cavalry box and 1 Arab light cavalry box. And then we have 1 Goth elite cavalry, 1 Goth noble cavalry, and 1 Dark Age cavalry. And in the first recording of this video, I have already noticed I need to talk to Gripping Beast because I'm missing a box. I'm supposed to have a total of 12 boxes. Or is it 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it's 10. I'm supposed to have 10 boxes. I have 9 boxes. They were short 1 box of Noble Cavalry, sent me this lot, and I never got the other box of Noble Cavalry. So I'm going to have to talk to them. Because I did pay for it. But the reason I got this was they had a Black Friday sale, and they were selling these boxes that usually go, I think, for £22 at £16. And that also applied to their 5-box deal. So the 5-box deal made them pretty much under £13 a box, which is almost half price. And for that I thought, you know what? I'll do that. Then I have a bunch of blisters from the Hail Caesar's El Cid range, which is something that they got from some other company to make sort of more elite Arab troops. I got a whole bunch of footsore packs for commands, both for the Arabs and for the Goths. And the Goths themselves, I'm going to build out of Victrix Dacians and Victrix Vikings. I have a whole bunch more parts and stuff that I'm going to kit bash into these. A bunch of metal figures, also that I'm going to mix into the figures, and just, you know, it'll look good. There just aren't any really good goth figures. Even the metal ones just aren't great. So you know what? I'd rather kit bash them from plastic figures. That's just me. So yeah, that's a whole project sitting there, missing 1 box, and I really need to remember that. Because I am owed that box. I want that box. But yeah, it's going to be a fun project next year, maybe. Then comes my giant pile of nostalgia, which is all this. There we go. You've already seen the massive bag of metal War Master orcs with some 10mm Magister Militum thrown in to fill them up, and the Vampire Count's War Master army I already showed off as well. And they are pretty much, I mean, the Orc army for sure is at least 2,000 points, if not more. So that's a lot of stuff. Then we have a whole box of Old Hammer High Elves. They're more accurately Middle Hammer High Elves. But I prefer the term Old Hammer, and I don't really care that much about the distinction. And what this is 2 lots of figures that I bought on eBay, plus a few extras. And on eBay, usually you get very bad deals, but in this case, I got an absolutely fantastic, amazing deal, where somebody did not know what they were having there, and they just sold it as sort of a convolute pile of stuff, and it turned out to be basically 2 halves. In both cases, it turned out to be about half of a High Elf army. And so I have a full High Elf army for like 4th and 5th edition. Bag of plastic spearmen already painted. They need to be stripped. Then we have a bag of mostly silver helms, but there's also a Tyrannoc chariot. You can see it right there. And a whole bunch of character models on horseback, and just all sorts of mounted stuff. Some of this I did buy extra, because there was only a few bits and pieces in the 2 lots. The chunk of the first lot is in here, and it was a Prince Imric on Dragon, and a whole bunch of other stuff like Sword Masters. Like here you can see there was about 20 Marauder Sword Masters in here, but there's also some more modern Sword Masters. There's a bunch of White Lines, Marauder ones. I also have new White Lines, and I'm just gonna mix those together. I don't care that much, but yeah, great. Just a massive pack of stuff. The blister of Swordmaster Command I got in a trade. And then the other lot mainly focused around, there was a whole lot of Marauder Shadow Warriors in there, as well as archers, and then just a bunch of metal spearmen, which together with the plastic spearmen makes most of a spearman unit. This one I also got in a trade. Pretty much everything that's in blister is stuff that I traded for. Yeah, so I didn't even plan on getting a High Elf army for Middle Hammer. It just sort of happened that I bought convolute figures. I didn't even buy the first lot. I didn't even buy for the High Elves. The first lot I bought because there was something. I saw something. I don't remember, but there was something that I saw in that lot, and I was like, oh yes, I want that. And I got it for really cheap. 60 euros, I think, the lot. And it had, as I said, a giant lot of Marauder swordsmen, swordmasters, and all this sort of stuff. So the second one was a bit more expensive. The second one, I think, was 70 or 80. But I would say if I resold all of these on eBay, I could probably get 600 euros or so. So I think that was a pretty decent deal. But the real thing that I've been collecting for my nostalgia purposes, also at the bottom here you can see a box of Battle Masters. That's something I pretty recently bought on eBay for 40 euros. And this is a complete Battle Masters with a bag in it that has a whole other set of figures for Battle Masters. So it's 2 sets of figures for Battle Masters and the entire gaming contents for 1 set. So yeah, basically 2 sets of Battlemaster figures for 40 euros. I think that's a pretty damn good deal. I'm gonna have to see if I can get the power cable over here, because the camera is gonna die in a second because it's useless. I'm gonna have to move it first. So let's quickly do the contents of this box, and that is mostly dwarves, because that's what I actually wanted to collect. This is a pretty recent purchase. This one was expensive. It's basically new in box. It's not entirely, because the stuff has definitely been taken out. The anvil is assembled, but the other stuff isn't, and it's not painted. And the box is in great shape. Yeah, it's just lovely. And this was one of the first miniatures I saw in the store, and I really wanted. But I couldn't really. When I was a kid, I didn't really have enough money to afford this sort of stuff, because I mean even this was expensive when I was a kid. So never had this and really wanted it and got it recently. None of this was a good deal. None of these dwarf miniatures were a good deal. They were all expensive. But we have a new in-box flame cannon. Underneath there's some plastic dwarf warriors. There are dwarf warriors in there, but they're painted. Then we have pretty much a full regiment of slayers. A whole bunch of these marauder thunderers. And they're pristine. We have a Thane and another guy from atop the Anvil of Doom, I think. Yeah, it's the guy that's on top of the Anvil of Doom. So I have two of him, which is fun. What is that? I think that's a newer Rune Priest. Yeah, that's 6th edition blister pack. I don't know if you can see it there. That's a newer edition Rune Priest that I got in the local game store. Then I got a Nagash, which was a tip in a commission that I painted. And I think that's a pretty sweet tip, because this is not a cheap model. So I already stripped him. I'll need to paint him at some point. And then there's a whole bunch of other convolute stuff, like some blood letters that I got. I think I have a whole unit of them now. Because strangely, I bought a little lot that had... for the High Elves, for the White Lines, there was a standard bearer and a musician. But that lot also had a musician for the Bloodletters. So that's a 5-man unit with a champion and a musician now. So that's kind of cool. And it also had the really awesome Bretonnian Foot Knight model, which is somewhere else right now. Then there's a Halfling Hotpot. I got that one in the made-to-order stuff sales. Traded for these, bunch of the original mid-90s plastic skeletons in pristine condition. Sorry, in pristine condition. I've been talking too much. The only thing that's missing is the shields, which is always the thing that's missing. But what are you gonna do? It's still pretty cool. And then we have a Vermin Lord and a whole unit of ratty slaves from Harlequin. These are not original GW models, they're from Harlequin, but they're still pretty good. And yeah, and then we have a Demon Prince in bits. I still haven't entirely freed him from his enamel paint job. Always a bit of a pain to get that stuff off. We got a Chaos Barbarian champion, some Wood Elf archers, some more Wood Elf stuff randomly. I think there's even an Orion somewhere down there. And a Wood Elf Sorcerer on horse. We got a Biggins Command for orcs. I don't really have a lot of orc stuff. I would love to have a Kev Adams orc army, but dwarves are more important. So dwarves are first, maybe at some point down the line. Definitely going to keep these boxes as well. I'm going to paint them, obviously, these figures, but yeah, I want to keep the boxes afterwards, because they make me feel very nostalgic, these ones. So yeah, that is my self-indulgent nostalgia old stuff collection. Let me move the camera over here a bit, and then I can also finally put the power cable in the camera. All right, here we have, this box right here is a business box, as I refer to it. This is stuff that I'm going to paint and sell. I got these figures cheap for whatever reason. I got these figures in trades or whatnot, and I'll paint them up and I'll sell them because I don't have any use for them. And on the bottle caps we have an Iko-Iki army for Test of Honor or any other, skirmishy type game. And then in here in the towel are freshly washed Footsore Vikings, which will be a Saga army. Saga armies always sell really well if you paint them up. This was the start of an Infamy project. All right, sorry, you couldn't even see the Vikings. They're in here, as you can see, a whole pile of them. Pre-assembly. This was the start of Infamy Thracians. I basically got this pack from, I want to say First Core, because I wanted to see what the scale of their figures is, which is, it's fine, it's 28 mil. And then we have a bunch of oh yeah, this is just a bunch of Celts that I also got from First Corps for the scale. And 10 mil ACW, which I don't know if that will ever be a sale project, but I hope so, because I spent the money, so I need to make the money back. All right, and now we come to some of the fun stuff. So this is my box of Demon World. Now, you might think this box of Demon World looks really expensive, because oh my god, look at all the Demon World stuff. Because we have a full army of Empire and a full army of Istak in here. However, this is probably the cheapest thing on the table, because these painted ones, I bought a lot of these. That was it said random stuff, convolute, but it ended up being a full army of Empire with a lot of first edition figures. But that doesn't bother me. I still like those. A full Empire army, a full Orc army, and when I say full, I mean massive. Okay, these were massive armies, and a full Elf army, and I paid about 130 euros for the lot. So and the value of those is easily 500-600 euros if you buy them all new. So huge savings on that. And the Orc army I resold for 100 euros. So I basically paid for this half here, I paid 40 euros. And then with the money I made with the Orcs, I bought the Istak. So this whole box basically cost me 140, including the giant box of painted elves. The elves are a little bit better painted than these. I'm guessing whoever owned these painted the elves last. So I don't have to repaint those too soon. I will at some point, I'm sure, but yeah. So yeah, my Demon World collection, it's really massive. There's all sorts of stuff. There's the battle cows, and we got a dragon and cannons. We got a druid coven. We got some noble crossbowmen. We got whatever this is. What is this? Barbarians. Noble mounted lances, foot soldiers, order novices, just anything you need to make an Empire army. And then on the other side we have Istak, just a mix so far. I haven't really collected those with too much specific wants. Right, and then we have some stupid stuff. This is the stupid stuff. Actually, the stupid stuff will come in the last video because we're already over 20 min and my camera will shut down at some point because it's trash. All right, thanks for watching. There will be one small video after this with the rest. And yeah, I know, it's insane. And some of this stuff needs to get sold. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.